Hey, come here, check this out. In the last lesson that I had on here, I showed you some really neat ways to speed up your play. So I was talking about your forearm movement on your right hand. If you didn't check that out, go check out that previous video because I believe it's going to help you increase your speed, your fluidity, and just being able to play scale shapes up and down the fretboard. But one thing I didn't really focus on was the left hand. So I wanted to talk about some exercises that will help you get speedier and faster with your left hand and your right hand as you use these different techniques. Hey, I'm DH of JustPickUpTheGuitarAndGo.com, and don't forget my free 7-day course to help you play lead guitar and unlock the fretboard over at JustPickUpTheGuitarAndGo.com. Absolutely free 7-day course. Check it out. And today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and continue on with the lesson that I kind of started last week, where I showed you how to use your forearm to kind of move back and forth up and down the strings rather than arcing your wrist. If you didn't see that video, go check it out. It's the one right before this one. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at that again, but this time we're going to look at it with some alternate picking techniques, including our left hand, instead of looking at the scale shapes like we did last time, where I looked at the pentatonic box and 2-note per string, and then I looked at the diatonic box and 3-note per string. What we're going to do this time is we're going to look instead at just some basic non-musical patterns which we can use to play these shapes up and down the fretboard, synchronizing our right hand and our left hand as we do this. So first one we'll look at is just 2-note per string. And I'll look at the 7th fret and the 9th fret. All I'm going to play is with my index finger and my middle finger. I'm going to play 7, 9 on all the strings. So what we're going to play is just 7 and 9 on each string. And we're just playing down, up, down, up, down, up. So like this. Now notice it doesn't sound musical. So if you see this and you're like, oh, he doesn't know how to play. He doesn't know how to play the scales. It's because it's not supposed to be musical. We could do pentatonic. I did pentatonic in the last lesson. I just want to go ahead and get you used to playing a practice routine. And we're going to do this rather than just going up and down. We're going to take it in little chunks. So what I want you to do is just focus on the 6th and the 5th string first and just play the 6th string, then the 5th string, then back to the 6th, back to the 5th, back to the 6th, back to the 5th. So get your metronome out and slowly play it like this. See, on the 6th string I'm going down, up, and then when I get to the 5th string I'm going to go down, up, and then down, come back to the 6th string and I'm going up, and then back to the beginning, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, like that. So basically what you want to do is just with 2 strings, and you can do this across the 5th and the 4th, across the 4th and the 3rd, across the 3rd and the 2nd, and across the 2nd and the 1st. And what you want to do is with every 2-string chunk, you want to go ahead and increase your speed up to where you can get to the point where you can play this fast and fluid. And then you want to be able to go ahead and go to the next set of strings. So we would do 2 strings like that, then the next set of strings, the next set of strings, the next set of strings. But once you get to the point where you're good on all of them by themselves, like that one, like that one, like that one, and then the last one. What you want to do is use that forearm technique that I showed you in the last lesson to then be able to go down the strings and then back up the strings. But before you get there, what you want to do is as you play each one of these different shapes, I want you to move your forearm to where it's most comfortable for you. So as we play the 6th and the 5th string, we're going to be back here, right? Then when we go to the 5th and the 4th strings, instead of rotating my wrist to get to that 5th string and now play that shape, or rotate my wrist again to get to the 4th and the 3rd strings, or I'll rotate my wrist again to get to the third and the second. I'm going to come back, keep my wrist in the same place it was in the sixth and fifth positions. And I'm going to move my forearm. I'm going to exaggerate the movement here, but you're basically doing this. So I'm going to move my forearm forward to get to that fifth and that fourth position. And I'm going to play the fifth and the fourth strings at the seventh and the ninth frets there with my forearm move forward. Then do the same thing for the fourth and the third strings. See, I'm moving slightly forward. Same thing for the third and the second. And the same thing for the second and the first. And what you're doing is you're maintaining that palm muting. In this case, I've got a stop-tail bridge, right, with a Tune-O-Matic. So I'm keeping my palm kind of hovered over the bridge here, keeping the strings muted. And I'm kind of blading across the strings rather than moving my wrist in an arc fashion. And that's going to keep everything kind of muted and sounding cleaner. And that's one of the techniques that you got to pick up. With my fingers on my first, second, and third, my upper strings, we're going to go ahead and keep my fingers laid down, like my pinky, for instance, as I'm playing. Another technique that you want to make sure you do is keep your fingers, the ones that I'm actually playing with, the first and the third, keep them as close to the fretboard as possible as we're picking. And then also with your pick. Choke up on your pick, keep that tip as close to your thumb and your finger as possible. And then as you're picking, you're using these slight incremental finger, not really the wrist, it's more of the finger movements. Your wrist is involved a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of muscles that are being involved in doing this, but it's about tightening it up and really making sure that you're focused and precise. Now, I want to make sure that I am clear. When I say tightening it up, I mean tightening up the playing and the way that you're moving everything. But everything still needs to be very loose and relaxed. And I did do a stretching video a while back, and I did a video where I talked about being loose and relaxed. So go check those out. But mainly what you want to do is you want to just be very loose and relaxed, but at the same time, your hand is just moving like this, right? You're not tight. We're not moving from the elbow. We're not doing this. Okay, we're moving from those slight micro movements in the fingers. And of course, if you're not good at that, then doing it more, building up that repetition is what puts it into your muscle memory. So now that you got it down pat, or once you got it down pat, once you practice this a little bit, and you got it down pat where you can do 2 strings at a time in sets, then what you want to do is you want to be able to move from one set to the next set. So we would want to do the set that's on the 6th and the 5th strings, then go to the set that's on the 5th and the 4th strings, then jump to the set that's on the 4th and the 3rd. So as this hand is moving down, and we're moving this hand kind of in an arc like this. See, it's moving this way. So now there's a couple of theories in this. I know that when I play, I kind of fan my hand out as I move up to the upper strings. Another theory would say to keep your hand as close to perpendicular to the fretboard as possible, which is actually something that I'm working on and trying to do better. But my hand naturally wants to kind of come out like this. So I force myself to push my elbow in, and I try to keep it as perpendicular as possible, but just things you got to work on. And then as you're doing this, as this hand is moving to the upper strings, you got to make this hand move to the upper strings. You get to the point where you play it like this, going up and then back. And then you build up speed on that, you can go ahead and do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. So you can stay on 2 strings for a long period of time, and when you use this inside of a scale, it makes it a lot more musical. And then of course when you do that, what you can do is you can go ahead and build up speed and make it kind of sound Paul Gilbert-y, right? Because he does a lot of this kind of stuff. And it's going to really increase your vocabulary as far as shapes. If I put this into the pentatonic scale, where I'm playing 7-10, so instead of playing 7-9 across the whole thing, we're going to play 7-10, then 7-9, 7-9, 7-9, 7-10, 7-10, which is your B minor scale. Do the same thing. The only difference is for practice, I'm now throwing my pinky in there when I play the 6th string, the 2nd string, and the 1st string. So it's going to change up the pattern a little bit. But you can hear how it sounds more musical when I do it that way. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you, I'm going to break up a little bit. I'm going to show you a little bit in this lesson, but I'm going to show you a little bit in the next lesson too. In the next lesson, I'm going to focus on something called the anchor shapes. But what I'm about to show you is somewhat like the anchor shapes. So you can do this with 3-note per string patterns. Now there's a few ways we can do this, and I'm not going to show you all of these. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of show you where they're at, and then you can go ahead and play with them. We could just play 7, 8, 9 with my 1st finger, my 2nd finger, my 3rd finger. So I could just play. I'm pretty sure you've seen exercises like that before. Or we could do all 4 fingers if you wanted to. We could play 7, 8, 9, and 10. But that may be a little bit too much, so let's just focus on 3 for right now. So just the 1st finger, the middle finger, and the ring finger, we could do 7, 8, 9. And all of these 3-note per string shapes, you would pick down, up, down. And then when we get to the next string, unless we're doing something called economy picking, which we're not really going to worry about right now, we would just go up, down, up. And then we get to the 4th string, down, up, down, 3rd string, up, down, up, 2nd string, down, up, down, and 1st string, up, down, up. And then when we go backwards, since we just played an up, we're going to go to a downstroke. 2nd string would be down, up, down. 3rd string would be up, down, up. 4th string would be down, up, down. 5th string would be up, down, up. And then 6th string would be down, up, down. So I'm just going 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger on all the strings. You can also go 3rd finger, 2nd finger, 1st finger when you come back. Same picking pattern. Up, down, 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 up. Same picking pattern, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, just using alternate picking. Now, one of the anchor shapes that I'll show you, and then in the next lesson I'll kind of show you how these connect, is you could do a 1st finger, 2nd finger, pinky, where you play on the 7th, the 8th, and the 10th. And we would do that across all the strings, 7, 8, 10 on all 6 strings. Same basic concept, right? Where we're playing the same alternate picking. Everything's gonna be a little bit different. You're gonna alternate the strings. Where you go down, up, down on one, you're gonna go up, down, up on the next. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down. Or going backwards when we get to the 1st string, we can go up, down, up, then down, up, down on the 2nd string, up, down, up on the 3rd string, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then I'm back to the beginning. So it's really important that you pay attention not only to your forearm movement, not only to your finger movement, but also to your picking pattern. So that's why you got to take a metronome. You got to go really slow on this stuff. Now, looking at the other lesson that I showed you at the beginning with the 2-note per string shapes, we would still want to chunk these, right? Whether you do 7, 8, 9, whether you do 7, 8, 10, or even if you do 1st finger, ring finger, and pinky, which is another anchor shape, and do 7, 9, 10. It doesn't matter which one you use or how you do it. Ideally, you would want to practice all of them. But what you would want to do is make sure you do 2 strings at a time. So let's go ahead and take the one that I just showed you where I'm playing 1st finger, ring finger, and pinky. And I'm going to play just the 6th string and the 5th string, and then just go back and forth. And you're going to see that the picking is going to change between each string. And then we'll take that same pattern, apply it to the 5th and the 4th and the 3rd, the third in the second, and the second in the first. So it's going to look like this. So down, up, 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 down, like that. So you're going to go ahead and pick that way, again, to a metronome. Put your hand in the right place where you're palm muting. Palm mute with these fingers, or finger mute with these fingers, and then when you get ready, you want to go ahead and scoot this down a little bit, change to the fifth and the fourth. Scoot down to the fourth and the third. Scoot down to the third and the second. Scoot down to the second and the first. Applying all the same techniques we did with the 2 note per string shape. Now we're just doing it with 3 note per string. And then when you get good at doing all of those shapes independently, you can start connecting them. Or going backwards can sound like this. Now again, applying this to like maybe a B minor alien sounding scale shape, which would be on the 6th string at 7, 9, 10, 5th string 7, 9, 10, 4th string and 3rd string 7, 9, 11. And then when I get to the 2nd string, I'm playing 8, 10, 12. And then on the 1st string, I'm playing 9, 10, 12. So that shape right there. To make it more musical, again, taking your time with it, you got to do it in chunks, a little bit at a time, so you get that hand motion right, so you can get that palm muting right. But you're going to be able to get something that sounds like this. And as I've said in several videos, I'm still working on it, so trying to get it clean, but you get the idea there. And that's going to help you build up speed in a very alternate, picky sounding way, which I think is kind of cool for a lot of different styles of rock and metal. So looking at that first finger, second finger, pinky, first finger, ring finger, pinky, those are what I like to call the anchor shapes. In the next lesson, we will be looking at those because I want you to take these practice shapes right now, get to the point where you're good at being able to move your fingers back and forth, and then when you actually are able to apply these to scales, you can use the anchor shapes to help you move back and forth. So in the next lesson, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about speed techniques, just where to put your fingers once you get the speed techniques worked out and into your muscle memory, and you're able to play the way that you want to play, then you can go ahead and start applying this to the scale shapes. Don't forget that I have lessons on here every Sunday and Wednesday, so be sure to come back and check out more. Check out all my old stuff too, because I got all kinds of good stuff out there. My channel is relatively new, so not a whole lot of people have seen it, so be sure to like, subscribe, share that content to somebody who you think might like it, and again, be sure to come back for more. And in the comments, I'd like you to tell me, what's your current practice routine? You might just go ahead and say, well, I'm currently working on this because you just showed it to me, but what is your current practice routine that you're currently working on? What are you currently working on guitar? What are you currently practicing? Is it a song? Is it a lead that you learned from somebody else? Is it a famous solo? I'd love to hear that in the comments. And I'm not too big, that's something that you're going to learn about me. I'm not too big on learning other people's solos, even though I think it's something that's really good to do to help you understand how to play different leads and different shapes and things like that. Probably something I need to do more of. But if that's something you like to do, then let me know in the comments. I'd love to see what your thoughts are. And I also got a free course out there, a 7-day lead course to help you learn the scale shapes that help you understand how to play melodically with confidence and ease all over the fretboard. And it also helps you with your improvisation because it teaches you intuitively how to just know how to train your fingers where to go on the fretboard so that you can improvise with ease and confidence. So that free 7-day course is over there at justpickuptheguitarandgo.com. Be sure to check it out, and I'll see you in the next one.